Is it going?
Perfect. I love your dedication, tuning in at the gym.
Oh my gosh, are you at the Juliana's effing awesome?
Oh yeah.
I love this.
I gotta do it.
This is perfect for this set.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so good.
I'm gonna dip.
I love
It is.
Oh my goodness. And Val, your hair looks so beautiful.
I'm here at a gym, so I'm like, why not?
Awesome. Well, welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining week 5 of Rising the TFP Within You, where we are going to be focusing on the mirror of reflecting your conscious health. So looks amazing to see all of your beauties, your faces on here. You're kind of hanging out, doing the conscious thing. And for those of you that are on the line, on the phone with no visuals, we love you too. It's been an interesting week, I have to share with you. There is a lot of energy movement on this planet. I think some of you probably, I would anticipate, have had some friends or family members or know of people who are experiencing some interesting disturbances in the force, which I think kind of goes back to this like focus on conscious health and like what does that look like as a role in your life as you are stepping into your authentic shoes as the total female package. Before I dive in there to really focus on what that conscious health looks like in multiple areas of our lives as women, just to be honest with each other about these different variables that make up our conscious living. I would love to hear from anyone who would like to share. Last week, we dove into the connection point on the mirror of reflecting your spiritual reflection. And so I'd love to hear from Val or Juliana, whoever feels like it, anything over the past week that you've experienced in connecting more, or things that you purposely did to try to connect more to like that higher self, that essence of who you are and what you're living. Any shares?
I always have something to share.
I love it. Thanks, Val.
I love the TFP.
So good partnering with you on this book club series.
Well, I think it actually goes for this chapter or for this mirror as well. But for the last one, in terms of taking care of my spiritual well-being, it was really giving myself the time to rest, and the time to reflect, and the time to actually journal, and really just give myself that space to be. And I put myself on. I have like a checkboard, like a check. Not a checkboard, but basically I'm on a 30-day meditation challenge for myself. And every day I'm like checking off, and even if it's 5 minutes, it's okay, because I could feel what it is that's just aligned within myself, as well as just like having more vivid dreams and, kind of the things that have been coming in. I think that is a pure reflection of catering to me and my spiritual well-being, and setting that, that 5 to 30 minutes, set aside. Right. And my boyfriend's been out of town, so it's been more than that.
That's right. We need to hang out.
And so it's actually been like, in a sense of like just getting back to me, the core essence of me, and I've even had dreams of like me tunneling, like streaming through light, and I wake up like, whoa, where was I going? Wow. And so I know that's a reflection of me catering to my spiritual well-being, to just allow whatever it is to come through me. So it's been really cool.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for that share.
To me, so it's very. Can you guys hear me?
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me well?
When you're not moving, we can kind of hear you better. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a gym.
No, no, we can't hear you at all. I want to hear you.
I'm prepping for a competition. Okay, I will share later.
Okay. We'll have you share for sure. And I'm so happy that you are prepping. I want to be prepping for a competition. I did this a lot. Well, we're going to talk because I've seen you when you just came out of your competition the first time we met, and you are rocking, sister. So, which is such a great conversation around this conscious health. And Val, thanks for sharing around your reflection and just being there for yourself this week and taking that time and focusing on meditation. I have a little loungy room area that I set up in the house where it's kind of almost like a black room, but it's got candles and it's got nice things of mine, and it's got like really fun stuff and a chair in there that's inspiring for me to sit in and just have some alone time. And when I go in there, I just feel, and I don't take my phone or I don't take any technology with me, and I just chill in this one area. I completely feel like connected to like me and in so many ways. And sometimes I just go sitting there for 5 or 10 minutes. I actually sat in there the other day and I started talking to my niece who transitioned out loud, sharing just information with her that I'm sure she can see whenever I'm rolling around if she's tapped in. There was just something about that made me feel more connected to everything. Just being in this room and knowing that no matter what was going on in the world, I took a moment to pause and just like speak to myself, give myself a message, my higher voice, let it know how much I was seeing myself and forgiving myself for things as well as I move about my day. And so that was a powerful practice for me. Anybody else want to share before I move on? All right. We're going to keep going. So mirror 5 is around reflecting your conscious health. The cool thing about the Total Female Package that I think is pretty cool is that when I wrote this several years ago and then actually started to design it, there's so many amazing women in my life that I feel like embody the essence of the Total Female Package. It lives within all of us. And even though we all may look different on the outside and we might even be functioning in different roles and passions in our lives, there's such a string of connection that we each have that are just some simple basic things that just make up the fact that we're all built with unconditional love, that we sometimes have the same thoughts running through our systems around our own well-being and self-worth. And so I wanted to really honor women in my life when I was designing this that I feel like encompassed a certain area of the Total Female Package really, really well. And so in this mirror, I have a picture of one of my besties, Whitney Kell. She's a health coach. And so she is trained and supported over 2,000 people in their health goals over the last 10 years and has created a living from it. And so when I thought about, a woman who's owning her essence around this conscious health conversation, it truly was her to put her in the front cover of this. And I asked her to give me a quote around health and conscious health. And here's what she wrote in the beginning of this mirror. She said, choosing what we think about and how we act on those thoughts determines the direction of our lives. It sounds so simple to monitor your thoughts, but most people do not realize they have any. Optimal conscious health is a result of daily health action steps you choose to take. And I so resonate with that, and it's what this mirror is all about. And I'm so loving the fact that I just saw Ana Naturalista, our spiritual woman, hop on this call. It was her mirrors coming up later on in this book, but she's calling all the way from Bali, so I'm super happy she's tapped in. So as we slide through this mirror of your conscious health and knowing that there's so many things happening currently right here and on the planet, like we're in the middle of these random hurricanes. We're in the middle of stuff happening in North Korea, and in the middle of like friends, parents who are having their own kind of breakdowns, and so this conversation around conscious health is so important on so many levels, and it begins with the essence of who we are. It begins with these thoughts that we're allowing ourselves to think about, and focused on the direction and producing and directing those thoughts. What type of thoughts do you want to be focusing on? If you actually just, and I know some of you on the call have spent multiple years monitoring these thoughts in our minds, but there was a time when I didn't live so much by design, and I lived by default. So there was a moment, like a total break in the repetition of thoughts that were like not serving me. And so I'm using that in a nice way. So thoughts, when I say weren't serving me, were thoughts that were negative, or thoughts that were, telling me that I wasn't as amazing as I felt like I was, or thoughts that said, oh, you're not as pretty as her, or, your body doesn't look that like as good as it can look, or hey, like you have funny looking feet, or hey, like, all those things that come up throughout the day, especially when you're ripping open these magazines and you see these like itty bitty tiny chicks. And not to say that I don't have a small frame, because I do, but these are the thoughts that I ask everyone to pay attention to and monitor, and really get clear on like, what thoughts do you actually want to be having about yourself? Like, this is part of the journey of rising this TFP within you, to know that you have the power to choose the thoughts you want to focus on and pay attention to. And the moment something pops up for you that is a non-serving thought, non-serving in the essence of it doesn't serve your purpose, it doesn't serve your dream, it doesn't tell you that you're totally in love with yourself, it tells you the complete opposite. Because what is the idea and this essence of the total female package rising in you is that you're finding ways all day long to fall magically, unconditionally in love with yourself as much as possible. And so around this idea and notion of conscious health, part of that conscious health is being aware of these thoughts that are running in your mind. And so in the total female package, just the first thing I talk about is bring awareness to this idea that I'm not my thoughts. Like these self-defeating, these doubtful, these thoughts that tell you you're not worthy, like that's not truly you. So how do you disassociate from that? Take a look at it and say, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to actually choose this in this moment. And when I opened up this book, I shared with everyone how I was actually going through a breakup, which ended up inspiring me to write and download these mirrors. And so I put my soul on interview. I spent time with myself in a mirror. I monitored the things that were running through my system, and I was notating the things that were sharing and helping me feel good about myself versus not helping me feel good about myself, until I got into such a rhythm that like a lot of those self-serving, non-serving thoughts just don't happen as frequent as often. They still come up, obviously, when my emotions aren't in the area of and vibration of love and bliss and joy and happiness. And when I am feeling tired and drained, and my feelings tend to be more towards exhaustion or overwhelm, or things are going on, or that stress, and I'm out of alignment. And so this is part of understanding, and a big part of understanding the power of yourself is around this aspect of like, you're not just your mind, like you're a whole collection of bodies that make up who you are. And so what I end up writing in the book is I said, okay, as you begin to monitoring these thoughts, like start to play with them and turn your negative thoughts into positive manifestations. So what I started to do is I started having fun with myself, and I started to say, okay, like the moment I'm aware that I'm saying something inside my head that is negative, like it was an automatic awareness mechanism I set up to give myself a moment in that space to go, okay, where's that coming from? Like asking myself, why did I just think that? Okay, now what is the opposite of that? What's the contrast? What's the thing that's actually more powerful that I'm really seeking and not doubting and have faith in? And so that's something that I just encourage for everyone to do, is how do you turn that negative thought into something that's more powerful for yourself? And really look for the good in each thought. It's what I write here: to keep your mind active in healthy ways, think joyful thoughts and focus on those. And so that's why whenever you tend to, and I know we talked about this on other calls, whenever you tend to look at a situation and it looks, you're judging it to be bad, or maybe you're upset with a relationship, a person in your life, you know, you're feeling resentment or anger, like those are just indicators, those feelings of yours to go, oh, I'm not focused on actually what's serving me. Okay, so now I know that I need to think about this person and start to do gratitude, what we've already talked about several times over. Like, what's the rampage of gratitude I could have right now for this situation or this person? And then I literally list out 5 things. 5 is just a really good number because it's better than just one. It gets you kind of flowing and thinking. It helps to switch your energy a little bit. What are the 5 things about the situation that I could actually say are like the good things from this moment, this thought, or what's happening? So that's one thing as part of conscious health, is like really understanding this thought process we have. And does anybody have any comments or around that area before I move on to the next? Because it's around like this mental energy that we have the power to bring things into form in our imagination, our creativity. And so the idea is to help you get more into your inspiration, your inspirational thoughts that lead to those other things that you're attracting to you, because you're monitoring the good thoughts and are having those happen. And I will say again, I had my niece who's studying psychology one day reach out to me. She said, I made an effort to just focus on positive thoughts all day long today, and I'm so happy. And it was such a reminder on how many of us probably aren't allowing ourselves to just focus on positive thoughts all day. So I don't know if anyone has anything to share around that. If not, I'll move on to the next idea around this conscious health mirror. But I'll cue it up in case. Yeah, Val, go for it.
I do, and because, you know, again, this the TFP definitely brought a different awareness at the time when I was first introduced to the TFP message. And one thing that I took from it that actually I just kind of simplified was, you know, as I'm going through, and, you know, we can be the hardest persons on ourselves. And one of the things in terms of being aware of that, or catching awareness of that, is like, wait, would I talk to my best friend the way that I'm talking to myself right now?
Exactly.
And that's what came up for me when working through this mirror, was like, wait a minute, like, I am my best friend. I know myself inside and out. Like, I would never say these words out loud to my best friend. So why am I doing this internally? Or why am I, basically, bashing myself, opposed to being grateful or finding joy in the happiness in what is occurring? So being able to just kind of make that awareness, and then, like, for me, it was that simple in terms of just saying, like, wait a minute, I would never talk to my best friend this way. Why am I allowing these thoughts to occur? And so just, again, catching awareness and working it through to where you're like you said, no, writing down the 5 things you're grateful for that person and whatever's going on, or, when you're reflecting, this, in the gym, and this extra little roll here.
You love that thing. You're like, it's mine. I'm the only one who has that. It's great, right? I love what you just shared, because I'm going to just bring it up, and I don't know if that anyone can see this on the mirror, but there's this quote I put on Instagram. It's this picture of a hand with a bunch of writing on it, and it said, if the words you spoke appeared on your skin, would you still be beautiful? And I love that, because if you internalize that comment, right? If the words you spoke to yourself, would you still be beautiful? A lot of us, we are traveling, we're on the street, walk around, we're at the airport, we're at the grocery store, we're at the gas station. Like, you can actually physically see the people who are actually speaking kindly to themselves versus not, by like the way they are just presenting themselves on the outside, because everything's internal. It's an inside out job, right? So if you're mirroring yourself in a way where you're speaking kindly to yourself and you're loving yourself, then that reflection is going to show up on what shows up in this physical appearance. And so it's around like, and we can go deep into this around people who are holding on to things internally and in essence holding on to a lot of like weight gain and all that stuff. I've got personal sisters in my life, like biological sisters in my life who are going through processes like that, and I'm watching the metamorphosis of changes happen, like this butterfly effect when people and women move to a place of authentic love for themselves. It's like all of a sudden, like someone will see you like, I don't know what's changed, but there's just this glow about you. And it's like, yeah, I turned on my freaking love button for myself, and I'm like in love with who I am, and I'm like speaking my truth, and I'm living this life of my dreams, and like, yeah, and everything's glowing because every other area of my life is glowing. And I wish that for everyone on the planet. And I know you have the power to make that happen for yourself all day long if you want to. And it starts with really understanding this aspect of the thoughts that you allow yourself to keep. And then, I talk about it's also important to give thanks for the food you consume. And I know Miss Anna is on the call right now, and she can probably speak to this if she wants to. You don't have to. But, when you have gratitude and you're conscious of the food and the liquids and the supplementation and everything that you put in your system that's serving you, and how the food is prepared and where it's coming from, and you're focused on that and you're giving gratitude for that, like it also helps metabolize in your system, I believe, in a way that's in more harmony with your natural rhythms. And so giving gratitude for anything that you're about to consume, whether it's a kiss from your partner or it's food or it's an experience you're about to consume, giving gratitude already like elevates the level of vibration of what that experience is bringing in your field. And so it's a big part of being healthy in a conscious way. When this mirror downloaded for me and around reflecting conscious health, like what's the word conscious? To me, it means aware. It means awake. It means the fact that like you are not living by default, but you are creating this aspect of who you are by design. And here are some things to think about as you share and make a confirmation to yourself, a commitment to yourself to be healthier. Like here are some things that you can think about as different reflections in your life to own and decide how you want to navigate that as you're rising into allowing this essence of the total female package live within you every day. I also talk about how nature gives you a healthy space for allowing your spirit to breathe. Like the more and more I see with people running around doing, the more I just want to sit people down. And you could see it. You could see somebody. You could feel their energy when they have not given themselves time to be in nature. Like it's this like rushed experience. Sometimes they're frazzled. Their face looks disheveled. Their hair might be like all out of whack, the way they're showing up in their appearance, or there's things going on in their personal life or the work life that seems a little chaotic. This area is great, but this area is falling apart. Like having that time to be more aware, connected to nature, brings you in alignment with yourself, connects you to this oneness we all really truly are. My husband today was asking me earlier, wow, he's like, there's so much going on right now, like on the planet, pointing out all these things. He's like, what do you think is going on? What are you feeling, being so connected to the feminine and Mother Nature? And I said, when your body is out of alignment, a health condition pops up. There's, stuff that comes up for people who are experiencing anxiety and fear, and it leads to some other emotional trauma they haven't got through. Like our planet Earth, in my opinion, is just navigating some things all around the globe, and it's springing up things for us to pay attention to so that it could self-correct. And so when we look at the hurricanes or we look at these things that are happening, there's for, in my opinion, a correction that is happening, some insight that's saying, hey, look at this area. And, how are you contributing to that in your thoughts and in your actions, and you and your own system becoming more self-realized can actually help impact that change to choose a new level of being in the world. And so that's why I think these things happen, just like certain things pop up in our bodies and our systems when we're out of alignment. It's for us to pay attention to and to look at and make new choices. And that's a conscious way of being healthy. It starts with you. Everything on this planet starts with you. And that's the idea around owning this birthright of yourself as the total female package. I say it's important in here to feel and think words of positive affirmations when you see yourself in the mirror. I am all about, and I used to point out the little birthmark I had on my cheek. I used to try to cringe my forehead when I was little. I thought my forehead was way too big. Like, I remember when I was growing up and I used to do all these things to like change things so that like I could fit in whatever I thought that meant, and now these are the things I hated my name. Oh my gosh, I did not like my name when I was growing up because no one could remember it. No one like it, or they couldn't pronounce it, and I just felt, or no one could spell it. I was like, oh my gosh, why aren't I Megan? I used to ask my parents to make me a Megan. I'm like, can we change my name? I want to be Megan. Everyone knows Megan. I like Megan. She's pretty. Like, it's so funny when you're growing up and you don't understand these things. And now that I'm older and I can appreciate the uniqueness of the things that make up me, I'm like, oh, these are the things I actually love most about myself now. And so I tend to gravitate towards, finding ways for yourself to look in the mirror and being your own coach, your own love coach, telling yourself how much you love yourself, telling yourself how you're going to go out to dinner that night and you're going to rock it and you're going to show up in a way that's supportive of you so that you're going to be supportive of other people. And if you're going to, and my husband just walked in and did a little happy dance because he believes this stuff too. He's listening to, when I say happy dance, it's more of like a thrusting, like you're on the right point. And I'm going to be honest with you because this is what he does. If anybody knows, he's like the male version of me. We just got these mule cups and he's like super ecstatic about it. And we're about to have a pool party for one of our friends whose birthday just launched. So, but anyway, so these are part of the ideas around falling in love with yourself, grabbing a mirror, and making sure you're honoring who you are and all of the uniqueness about your body and yourself. And a trick, this is, our body is made this way. A trick is a great way for you to monitor your thoughts is by paying attention to how you're feeling in each moment. So let me share. If you are feeling sad, resent, anger, anything that would be on the negative emotional side, then you're out of alignment. And you're not in the unconditional love. I mean, you're naturally always, vibration is unconditional love, but from the human body perspective, and we're trying to keep those bodies in alignment, we talked about our health. We talked about our body. We talked about our energetics. We talked about our emotional health and our intelligence health bodies. Like, when you're feeling a certain way, that's on the negative side of an emotion, a lower vibration, then you automatically know that you have cut yourself off from love in some respect. And so that is the biggest awareness. It's the biggest tool anybody could use to actually pay attention and go, oh, I'm not feeling happy. I'm not feeling joy. I'm not feeling this, that. Okay, let me just sit with myself and really internally ask myself what's going on. What is this sensation? How do I move to a higher vibration? And my Jeremy and I give each other permission when one of us notices that we're not on that love vibe. Can I ask you, can I interrupt? And yes or no. And may I ask you, like, where are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10 in your vibration of feeling good? And we'll go, oh, I'm at a 5, I guess, or I'm at a 6. Okay, well, what's the one thing I can do that might get you to a 7 or an 8? And we don't try to make this huge grandiose play to move you from a 6 to a 10, but what's just the one thing that if I did this for you right now, it would kind of help ease your emotions a little bit, move you to a new place. And those are just the simple things you can set up in your conversations of partnership. But if you even have that partnership conversation with yourself, when you recognize that you're in a place that's at a vibration that is an emotion that's not serving you, then what is the next thing you can do for yourself? You can commit to getting off social media, most likely, and commit to like reading like an inspirational quote. You'll see when you go through the TFP that I purposely created this book to have like bigger text versus small text, so that if you ever needed just to flip through the book, visuals, mirrors, like inspirational cartoony characters, so that if you ever just needed to flip open and get a quote or something for yourself to read, or just a strong statement or affirmation sentence, you could do that really easily to try to shift your energy in that moment. And so these are all the things that around conscious living, it's that awareness. It's really being aware around all the things that make up your health, your totality of the total female package. It's your health, it's your thinking, it's your thoughts, it's your speak, it's the activities you do, it's the friends you surround yourself with, it's the business and purpose you're on right now. It's aligning your mission with what you're up to, and you'll understand all these things when you just really actually focus on this mirror in your life and you give yourself the space to do it. You know, just like Valerie was sharing, she's not trying to become like an expert, you know, meditation specialist in a short amount of time. She gave herself 30 days and she said, hey, in 30 days, I'm going to check off every day my 5-minute meditation, 10-minute, 15-minute, just so I know that that's my time for me. And I tell you, when you do something like that for yourself, even if it's meditation, if it's looking in the mirror, if it's lighting the candle, if it's putting, what's that called? Incense on, if it's, you know, aromatherapy, if it's you make sure you get a massage every week, whatever that is, taking care of yourself and reflecting a conscious way of being with yourself is one of the best things you can possibly do for your spirit and for all the people who come into your energy circle, your ecosystem every day. Because when you're taken care of in that way and you're like honoring that, you open up the opportunity for so many people to come into a high vibrational experience of you that everything wanted is coming to you in that place. So, all right, conscious health practices. I'm sharing here some of them that you can do for this next coming week is to order or make your favorite dish and be conscious of every thought you're thinking while you eat it. So that's a practice that I did. I went to a dear friend of mine at Anna's house one time and consciously ate my food, whereas I had no distractions. I didn't speak to anybody. I just like took a bite of food and just allowed myself to really feel the food, taste the food, and have my phone near me. I wasn't trying to plow it down. I just went through the practice of conscious eating. And it slows everything down. It makes you so much more present and your food is so much more enjoyable. And you know what? You eat less. Like that's the one thing I realized, like when I'm actually consciously eating my food, I don't need as much. I don't eat as much because I'm not trying to like just shove it in to get full. I'm actually experiencing the food. So my experience of it is so satisfying that I don't need as much of it. And that's like such a fun practice that I love sharing with people. And then perform your favorite outdoor activity. If you want to love to bike, run, swim, hike schedule, the weather's been so amazing out here on the West Coast. Wherever you are, find something that you can do. I got up early the other day and jumped in my pool in the morning, decided to swim for the first time instead of going to the gym or going for a run. I'm like, oh, it's hot. Like, I'm just going to jump in the pool. And you know what? I did it naked. It was super fun and there was no one around. And I got to do little jump ups and do stuff to raise my vibe. So do something for yourself that you're consciously aware of, and have fun with it. And I know our time is probably coming to an end, but I would love for anybody who has any thoughts around this mirror to share. We have about 6 minutes left before our time ends. So if anybody feels they want to share anything around the practice they're doing or it's something that came up for them during this mirror, now is your time.
I would love to share.
Yay, who's this?
It's Violet.
Violet. You always pop it on your phone, so I never know it's you. But yay, Violet, share, love.
I know I'm at the beach, so
perfect.
Enjoying my time here. But I have something that comes into the realm of health and self-love, and it's a very vulnerable share for me. But I had some traumatic things happen in my childhood and through my teenage years, and when I was 20, 21, I was in a performing troupe, and I developed over the years a pretty severe eating disorder. And I had an angel mentor that I ended up running into that was a friend of one of the directors of the performing troupe, and she had introduced the concept of self-love to me. And it was the first time anybody had talked to me about that. I was raised in kind of more of a religious upbringing, and we were taught to do everything for everyone else before we did anything for ourselves. And I really took what she said about self-love to heart. And it was crazy what happened when I started incorporating and thinking about self-love and started incorporating somewhat of my version of affirmations at the time. The eating disorder and the self-hate just really naturally melted off. And I remember one day someone coming up to me going, "Something's changed about you. You're like lighter. There's a light in your eyes." And I remember my response just came out so like fluidly, and it was just like, I guess I started to love myself. And so that kind of came through when you're talking about health and body image and self-love.
Oh, that's an awesome share. And it's such vulnerable. And thank you so much for feeling so safe with your sisters here on the webinar, because we are all holding you in that envelopment of love, because it's self-love is so powerful. And the moment you turned it on, which is what I hope and wish for every single woman on this planet, the moment you turned it on, it's like you're just living in this magical field of possibility, and like anything, like things that don't serve you melt away. And that's truly how it is. So I appreciate you for sharing that. I love you even more now for being working out on your own and being an example for other women. And just totally honor you. And I know right now I would love for Anna Allen from Bali, if she can step in and share a couple points with our 2.5 minutes left, because I know you have such fruitful information for us, love.
Hi, sweeties. Thank you so much. I'll see if I can wrap this up in a minute and a half. But what I wanted to touch on and just share and contribute is earlier in the call you had talked about these negative thought patterns, and which if we go into judgment and looking into why am I thinking this, how did this negative kind of spiral can really take deeper effect into our body and cause different dis-ease or uncomfortable situations that manifest into our life. By unwinding that and really going back to the truth and the essence of our soul, and knowing that these thoughts are part of the human condition that come from societal influence, from our family upbringing, as Violet was just mentioning in her past and in her development of herself, and really realizing that at the truth of who we are, none of these thoughts are really real. So in unraveling that and really coming to a place of total autonomy and strength in knowing that, you can really, there's a process I can share or take people through that really allows you to tap into the truth of your heart, and you can and your soul consciousness by asking yourself, is this my truth? Is this who I really feel about myself? And the answer will typically always be no, because it's coming from some outside source. It could come from past life influence. It could come from, TV, social media, all the different influences that we have around us. And really understanding that to even prevent that initial spiral, that we can stop, drop, and check in with our heart center and with our truth of ourself, and knowing that those thoughts and negative energies don't belong to us, period. And we get to reframe and reprogram that in the most beautiful conscious way by looking for the examples of the highest good that represent us.
Yes.
It's not your truth.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Yes. You got it.
Woo!
I think we're gonna close off, but thank you, Anna, and we're gonna have you on this book club journey with us in another moment, I'm sure, because We need to hear more of you. We hear more of your insights and your downloads because you're
your chapters